St. Francis Denham Springs, St. Patrick Zachary, and then Episcopal. Those three institutions received major damage from the flood. That doesn't count the number of houses of our parishioners, but even beyond our parishioners, as we all know, is tremendous damage. Over 110,000 homes. I read in the news today over $3 billion worth of damage to the area. That is a tremendous amount of damage to overcome.
Congregations had it pretty rough. I would say probably half the parishioners also had their homes flooded, been displaced. I even have one parishioner who has a home in Prairieville that flooded, and her business here in Denham Springs flooded, so she got it twice. But they're resilient. Their attitudes are good, and they're steady, working hard to gut their houses and get them ready for rebuilding. Rebuilding of the church, we hope that we can get something done by Easter. But the rebuilding of people's lives, that's going to take a lot longer. People lost their homes. People lost their places of business, places of work. People lost their jobs. And people are having to try to figure out, what do I do with child care? How do I make mortgage payments without employment? People are trying to figure out, even if I take on a FEMA loan, I'll be upside down on my mortgage. I'll actually own more than the house is worth. These are going to be some difficult, struggling times for people here. So I ask you to keep us in your prayers. I ask that you continue to make gifts and donations to the diocese, and so that the diocese can assist those who have been hurt by this flood.
St. Patrick's in Zachary, which is the other church that received some damage. Outside, the damage that you can see is in their playgrounds and the fence that surrounded the school playground. The fence was completely taken away. Water got right up under the church and the parish hall and the school, which meant the subflooring got wet. And of course, they had just finished remodeling and expanding their nave. So that was a big concern. Were they going to have to rip out the pews again and redo the floor? As of today, they think that they won't have to do that. They're working real hard. The company is trying to dry out under that, but they had major damage to the roof because of so much rain. They had damage to electrical units, air conditioning, heating units. That's going to be expensive as well.
And Sunday morning, a neighbor woke us up knocking on our door with water in the street, telling us that we couldn't drive in or out of the neighborhood. And so I did manage to get up to school and realize that water was in places that I don't think anybody had ever expected to see it. The neighborhood sort of in not a panic, but people were just sort of very uncertain, because as the water kept rising, everybody thought it would stop soon, and the weather was pretty nice, which was interesting. The rain had stopped, and this was sort of river flooding that was coming down the creek from sort of all sides. Who are we going to be as a result of coming through this experience? And we really hope to be something different and new and better coming out of the flood, not just back to normal, but what's our new normal. And really, I said earlier to our students, I said, we as educators, as a chaplain, as people who work at a school, sometimes all we do is plant seeds, and we never really see the growth that comes from those seeds. And it was so incredible during the flood to see the growth, to see what, the lessons that we hope that we're teaching and getting across to our students, to see it lived out without us telling them to do any of these things, was an incredible thing to be able to witness.
am very grateful for all the work that many of our churches have done during this disaster. We have received volunteers from Thibodeau, Hammond, New Orleans, plenty of teams from New Orleans. Pretty much every corner of the diocese has sent us volunteer teams, and we're very thankful for that. Our work has made a huge difference. I tell you that this work is not done yet. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, especially on the side of the rehabilitation, rebuilding of these homes. We still need your volunteers. We still need your financial support to the Bishop's Fund, ERD. We also need you to keep us in your prayers and to continue to partner with us.
We're in this for the long haul. You know, the Episcopal Church is going to be here until we reach the new normal. Engaged in the community, like I said, in this transformative work. We build relationships and we build community goodwill. I encourage you to get involved in the community. It's a volunteer. Send out your people. It's a great way to expose our congregations to what's going on in the world. It's a great way to break down barriers and walls. It's a great way to engage in the work that God is calling us to.
Louisiana, the people of Louisiana know what it's like to be flooded. They know what it's like to go through a tragic event like this. And we will be with them until we can no longer do what needs to be done. But they're not alone in this, that there are people, and this is what has been impressive to me and has moved me deeply, is that there are people all over the United States who have sent us cards of some with checks, all about prayer, that they are with us, and the thank you notes that I have signed have been in small places throughout the United States as well as large places, and we're not going to leave them alone, abandon them in the recovery. We'll stay with them until the work is done.